Well, a very good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. For me, it is first thing in the morning, and that is because we have a very special guest all the way from Australia today. We are going to be interviewing a lady by the name of Leanne, the Barefoot Medium, and I'm really excited to hear a bit more about what she does and how she does it, simply because I know that with a lot of the people that I speak to in the healing fraternity, there's obviously a lot of overlap, but the one field that sort of feels very much like something that is a gift that you're either born with or you're not is people who are gifted with the, call it the second sight. So we're going to try and add Leanne now. I know she has been online this morning. We did communicate very quickly just to make sure that we were on the same page. Um, but as usual, as you know, these things don't always go super smoothly. So we're just going to see what we can do here. Okay. And typically her name comes up and then it won't let me actually select her. There we go. Instagram being what it is. I hope that everybody who is watching this is well. And stay tuned further on later in the day. We will be announcing our second winner. And today it's going to be a free send-out for people who are wanting to take advantage of it. Sorry, not for those wanting to take advantage, for the winner rather. So that is going to be a send-out done to the entire directory for the Body and Mind directory. Body and Mind being one of the co-founders of the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, of which Leanne is a part of that. We're just waiting for Leanne to join now. Barefoot Medium. Should be in a second now. Hopefully. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Leanne. Ah, there's Leanne, and I see she sent a request. Yes, fantastic. That should be coming in any second now. Leanne, is that popping up on your screen? There we go.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Very glad to hear it. Are you able to hear me okay? I just want to make sure that we've got a good line.
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, it seems to be okay. So we in Africa we sometimes do tend to have a few internet issues, even though we are supposed to be on the cutting edge, so they tell us. But every so now and then it does act up a little bit. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this with us. We really do appreciate it. What time is it over there for you at the moment?
It's 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Ah, right. Okay. So you are on the East Coast?
In Brisbane.
Hey, fantastic, fantastic. Well, excuse me, as I say, thank you so much for joining us today. And just before you came on, I was saying that what it is that you do is you are a medium. And I find this incredibly interesting because with a lot of the healers that I work with, it's the overlap is sort of one of those things where it's a talent that anybody can really develop. But I feel as though for a medium, it's a gift that you're either born with or you either have it or you don't. So I'm really fascinated by this because it's not something that I've experienced personally. So I'd love to hear about that. But before we get to that, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, how you got onto this path, and what it was that brought you here.
Absolutely. And, you know, a beautiful introduction to how I stepped into this. And I'm what they call a natural medium. So I was born with my gifts and my abilities, and I can see, hear, feel, and know when spirit is around me. And spirit, I mean passed over loved ones, guides, angels, all of those beings that we can connect and communicate with. So as a child, I had no idea what that was or what was happening. So it was quite scary because my parents had no idea and don't have those abilities. So I was put in a family that no idea. And here I am, a natural medium who can connect to. I would often hear spirit people running down the hallway of my house at night, or I would see shadows in my room, or I would feel like I had people right up in my face when I was going to sleep. And it was quite frightening as a child. It wasn't until I got older that I realized what that was. So I would run into my parents' room and say, there's people in my room. And they would say, no, 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 there's not, go back to sleep. And for me, there was. So that was a little bit about my childhood. You know, and I'm an empath, so I feel, and I'm quite sensitive to other people's emotions. My background, real world background, is psychology, criminology, and teaching at universities. Yeah. So I've had a very big corporate background as well. And I'm just about to step into combining my mediumship with the criminology work, which I'm so incredibly excited about. So it wasn't until I was very stressed and overworked in a full-time corporate job, and I just woke up at 2 o'clock one morning with spirit tapping me on the shoulder and saying, that's it, you're done. So I handed my resignation in with no idea what I was about to do or how I was going to pay the bills or anything like that, and went to a meditation. That's how I became more conscious and more present to what I can do and what was always sitting there. So that's kind of a little bit about my background.
That is incredible. And you actually answered the one question that I was going to ask, is how did it make you feel as a child to see and to know that there were these other entities around? If I may ask, and this is purely for my own curiosity more than anything else, but when did you sort of start to get to feel that it was not okay, but what's the word I'm looking for? When did you get comfortable with the idea that these were not harmful or negative? It was just, they were maybe just a little bit lost or didn't quite know where they were. When did that sort of realization set in, especially since you didn't really have anybody in your family with those gifts who could help take you by the hand and go, it's okay, let me show you how this works and guide you through this process. So actually that is the bigger question, is when did that start to happen for you, and how did you get there mentally?
Well, it wasn't until I stepped out of the job and to meditation and started to look at how I could rebalance my life and de-stress and, you know, get a better balance there, that when I stepped into meditation, I started really connecting with my own intuition and my own knowing and my own sense of being in the world. I guess that's how you would say it. And I started connecting some dots around how Spirit had really been training me along the way anyway. But what I had to do was really learn about my own energy. And because I'm an empath and a medium and so sensitive, and my strongest sense is feel, if we see something, we see something. If we feel spirit, it's like an emotion or a... If I'll give you an example, because that's what's popping in. Through feeling how they passed, you've got to work out what that feeling is and be able to communicate that. And quite difficult to understand. And my emotions would change really quickly, or I would feel energy in my body like it was a pain of mine. And so I had to learn what was my emotion, what was my physical sensation, what were my thoughts, and then be able to look at what is somebody else's psychically, who is physically living, and then what is someone's in spirit. So for me, it came down to working on me first and understanding me.
Right.
Does that answer somewhat of your question?
Definitely does, and it's so interesting that you used that analogy of emotions being used as communication, because I so often explain to my clients that, you know, any emotions that you feel is really your subconscious trying to communicate with you because it's unable to use words. But it's so interesting that then for you to say as a medium that you're using that exact same communication channel to speak to other entities. That is really intriguing. But now I'm really interested to hear. Oh, sorry, yes, please continue. Please continue.
It's almost like, and the way I often describe it to people is, you know, the game charades that we play, and we have people try and get what we're trying to communicate with our actions and no words. The way I connect and communicate with spirit is the same as playing a game of charades. And I have to work out what's being communicated to me, whether it's through what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, or what I'm feeling. So it's like a spiritual game of charades.
Yeah, for sure. But now, I'm dying to know how, I think I have an inkling, but how are you intending on combining this with your corporate work as a criminologist, which, funny enough, is something that I decided to take as an elective in my final year of high school. So I'm very intrigued by this. How does that fit in?
So my background, as I said, is psychology, criminology, and teaching, so education. And I've just started stepping into a PhD or a doctorate program where I'm going to be researching how mediums can work with police on cold case homicides. So it's really... So it's really about being able to connect in with the, and I'll use the word victim, but I don't like that word, the password loved one, and asking them to give me evidence and information about what happened, where it happened, how it unfolded, and who was the offender.
Right.
And so police work very much with their intuition when they're investigating homicide. And with my academology, there's a very good match between the way police investigate homicides and the way mediums work.
Okay, so you're literally bringing the best of both worlds, because you are right. Police officers, I don't think they realize it half the time, but they are relying very heavily on their intuition to guide them, to connect the dots. And I suppose having somebody with your skill set as well as your training means that they don't really have to worry about, she's going to mess up a crime scene or mess up, the chain of evidence or something like that, because you understand how they operate and how they work. So that is amazing. And I'm sure that so many people are going to be brought just such peace knowing that their loved ones have been, brought justice.
And that is really the word, that particularly families who have been left behind here to deal with the trauma and the tragedy and the impact that has emotionally on them as they go through the grief and loss process, because that is a process. And my psychology background really does bring in the importance of that. And I think that we as mediums need to really understand that what we're working with is grief.
Mm.
And we need the tools and the skills to be able to support people even when we're connecting them with their passed over loved one, them through, and give them tools to be able to deal with their grief and loss. Because grief forever changes someone.
Yeah, no, for sure. So now, couple of final questions before we start wrapping up. And thank you again so much for taking time out to speak with us today, so we could get to know a little bit more about you as the person behind the Barefoot Medium. You are doing a talk with us on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference coming up, which we're very excited about. And again, for those watching this, the link to that is in my bio. And for anybody who takes a screenshot of this interview as well as their tickets, they will be entered into prize draws to win, various prizes that our different speakers are offering. But maybe you'd like to touch a little bit, Leanne, on what you're going to be talking about in your talk.
Absolutely. So one of the other parts that I bring into my work as a medium is supporting people to be able to manifest and create the life that they want and that they desire. And what I do is work with spirit and some guidance that I've received from the indigenous Kogi people in South America, because I lived in Colombia in South America for 3 years. So I've learned quite a bit about the shamanic and indigenous practices. Basically, we can go to the spirit world, we can go to what's called the mirror world, and using our intention, using our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can align our life with what we desire. And we can use our intuition and spirit to support us in taking those action steps towards what we desire. So what I'm going to do in the talk, that I'm so honored to be able to participate in the conference, is to take people on a journey to what we call the mirror world and ask them to set an intention or think about something they want to create and manifest in their life. And I'm going to walk them through a little bit of a process and some tools and techniques for how to do that.
Fantastic. Well, that is going to be just so incredible, because I think especially coming out of 2020, which has been what one of our other speakers termed a positive destruction year, where we have been clearing away a lot of the old methodologies and modalities, people are looking for guidance as to how they can effectively move into where they want to be in their lives. So that is absolutely incredible. So for want to take advantage of that skill set, how do they get in touch with you? What would be the best way?
They can connect with me here on Instagram, the Barefoot Medium, or on my website, thebarefootmedium.com.au for Australia, or on Facebook, the Barefoot Medium as well.
Fantastic. So what I'm definitely going to be doing is tagging you in this video as well. And I'll put a link to your website in the comments too. And if anybody is listening, please do get in touch with Leanne. She'd be more than happy to assist you on your journey to aligning yourself with your purpose. Leanne, thank you again for your time today. It has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. And I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Before we sign off, though, any parting words?
Thank you so, so much for having me on and for allowing me to come on live and share. My parting words would be for those who are finding 2020 challenging to look for the gifts, look for the opportunities and what's right about where we're at right now. So that would be my parting gift to people who are watching today.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That actually resonates very deeply with myself this morning as well. So thank you. We really appreciate it. We will definitely be in touch. Thank you. Cheers. Have a great evening further. Bye.
You too. Bye.